I'm showing you my 3 favorite ways to cook eggs in my HexClad Hybrid skillet. We'll make beautiful fried eggs, fluffy scrambled eggs, and a cheesy omelet with a perfectly toasted outside. Plus, I'll share 2 easy hacks to make sure your eggs never stick. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and I'm a home cook sharing healthier recipes to our favorite foods at gentletummy.com. About a year ago, I upgraded to the HexClad Hybrid Pans, and they have been a game changer for me in my kitchen. Now, HexClad isn't like a Teflon pan where you can just drop in an egg without any oil or butter and expect it not to stick. It's a hybrid pan that combines the best of cast iron, stainless steel, and nonstick. This is why they have become the MVP or most valuable player in my kitchen. So my first hack is that you'll need to use a little bit of oil or butter in your pan. And if you're concerned about adding extra fat to your dish, I totally get it. But you can adjust the amount of oil and butter to fit your dietary preference. And once you do, your pan is going to perform beautifully and it will be really easy to clean up. It's a small adjustment, but I have found that it is totally worth it. My second hack is to use a nice sturdy silicone spatula. You want one that's slightly flexible on the ends, but still nice and firm overall, because this will make it really easy to move your eggs inside your pan and keep them from sticking. To make these really easy, fluffy scrambled eggs, we're going to start by shredding some cheddar cheese. So I'll just take a plate and then shred about 2 ounces of cheddar cheese onto it. Next, I'm going to warm up my HexClad skillet to just under medium heat, and then I'll drop in about a teaspoon of butter. And instead of mixing the eggs in a bowl, I'm just going to drop them right into my pan. And then I'll add 3 pinches of salt and add in our shredded cheese. And then I'll just take my spatula and mix it all together right here in my pan. So I'm just going to keep my spatula upright, and then I'll just kind of work my way around the edge, and I'll continually move the eggs towards the center of the pan. And really the key is to keep these eggs moving, because that's going to keep them from becoming overcooked and nice and fluffy. And the silicone spatula makes it really easy to push the eggs down from the sides. So I'll just keep going around the edges, scraping the eggs up off the bottom and into the center. And this will make sure they get cooked throughout. As I push to the center, I'm also going to push them out from the middle. Well, now that they're holding together, I can tell that they're cooked on the bottom, but not quite on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop underneath and just flip them over. And that will make sure that the top gets nice and cooked as well. And the key to fluffy eggs is not to overcook them. So we can tell that these are done. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat off and transfer these to my plate. And then we have these gorgeous cheesy eggs that we cooked in our HexClad pan. And you can see that we have just a little bit of egg residue in our pan. So I'm going to allow this to cool for about 10 minutes, and then I can easily wash this out with just a little bit of warm water and some soap. And then it's ready to go again. Blowing it so it's not too hot. Those are perfect. To make a really beautiful fried egg in our 8-inch HexClad pan, I'm going to go ahead and add in a teaspoon of butter. And I'll just stir that around until that melts. And then we'll crack in 1 egg, trying to hold that yolk towards the center. And I like to salt it now so it gets down inside the egg. And I'll also add my black pepper. And then we'll just let this cook for a couple minutes until the top is set. So after about a minute or 2, I'm just going to go in with my spatula, and I'll just make sure that the egg is releasing from the edges. Because I didn't use a ton of butter, but enough to make sure it's nonstick. And that looks great. I like to let it cook until the edges just start getting that really light little golden brown, and then the top of the egg white is set. So after 4 minutes, I can tell that the edges are just lightly starting to brown, so that is perfect. So I can go ahead and turn off the heat. And then before sliding it out of the pan, I'll just go around and make sure that it's releasing from the bottom, which it is. So now I'll go ahead and slide this right onto my plate. And this is how you cook a gorgeous fried egg inside of a HexClad hybrid pan. To make this mushroom spinach omelet, you only need a few ingredients, including a handful of spinach, 2 ounces of shredded cheddar cheese, and I like to use a mix of sharp white cheddar as well as a medium yellow cheddar. And then you'll need about 3 mushrooms. So we'll start by dicing our mushrooms and bring our pan to a medium heat. And then we're going to start by sauteing our spinach and mushroom in our pan. So I'm just going to add about half of a teaspoon of some light olive oil. And I'll quickly spread that around the pan and then drop in our mushrooms. Do a quick chop on our spinach and drop that on top. And then season with just a little pinch of salt. So while these are cooking, we'll go ahead and prep our eggs. So I've just cracked 2 eggs into a bowl. And then I'm going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of paprika and a dash of garlic powder. And I like to add 2 pinches of salt and a dash of pepper. Now we'll just mix this together with a fork. So after about a minute, we can go ahead and stir our mushroom and spinach together. And then we'll give those about another minute to cook down. Now we can give these a good stir. Our mushrooms are nice and soft, so these are done. Now we could just pour our egg mixture into our pan and mix it around with the mushrooms and the spinach, but I prefer to be able to have all my mushroom and spinach inside of my omelet. So we're going to take these out of our pan. But mushrooms and spinach have a very high water content, so I first want to soak out the extra moisture so they're not soggy at all. So I just have a 2-ply paper towel, and then I'm just going to empty the spinach and mushroom right onto the center of it. And then we'll put our pan back on the heat. And we want to have the heat set to just under medium. And to keep our omelet from sticking, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of butter to my pan. And as that's melting, I'm just going to tilt my pan so it gets all the way up the sides. And now we can pour in our egg mixture. And to help the eggs cook evenly, I'm just going to go around the edge and just gently pull it forward and tilt my pan so that the uncooked egg runs outside. And we can pop any bubbles that form and let them fill up with egg. And once I've gone all the way around, we'll go ahead and put on our lid because that's going to help the inside cook as well. And while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and roll up my spinach and mushrooms inside of the paper towel. And then I can just press on it with my spatula. And this will help soak up any extra moisture. And then we'll unroll it back onto my cutting board. And then to keep it all nice and bite-sized, I like to go in and do another quick rough chop, just so I don't have any long strands of spinach. By now, our egg is ready, so we'll take off our lid and then empty our mushroom and spinach onto 1/2 of our omelet, and then add our cheese. And I like to have the cheese just barely starting to spill out on the edge. And then we're going to take our spatula and loosen up our omelet all the way around. And then we'll just barely let it slide away as we fold it in half. Ooh, I love that perfectly toasted bottom of the omelet. And then I'll just kind of scoot this away from the edge and use my spatula to scrape it down on the sides, and then just gently press down in the middle. And this will allow all the egg and cheese to ooze around the spinach and mushrooms inside the omelet. And then I'll put my lid back on just for about 30 seconds just to help it cook through. We'll take off our lid. Then with my spatula, I'll just go and scoot in this edge. And this is all melted cheese that's going to get delicious and crispy. So now we want to flip it over, so I'll make sure that it's all releasing from the pan. Get underneath and flip. I love how this is nice and toasted on the bottom. And I don't want to lose any extra cheese, so I'm just going to scoochie those in with the rest of the omelet. And I'll gently press down and then let this cook for about another 30 seconds. I can tell the bottom is toasted, so this omelet is done. So I'll just go around with my spatula, just making sure it releases. And then slide this onto my plate. And make sure there aren't any extra cheesy bits on my pan because those are my favorite. And this is my favorite way to make a toasted spinach cheesy omelet in my HexClad Hybrid Pan. And that is ready for a sample. That is so good. I love biting into that slightly crunchy, cheesy egg on the outside, and then you get the soft, perfectly cooked egg on the inside, and that cheese and egg is just spread throughout the mushroom and spinach, which have tons of flavor. And it all comes together in the most delicious, savory bite. Now, if you'd like to learn more about HexClad pans and how they could elevate your cooking in your kitchen, I invite you to click on the link that's in the video description below. Now, if you already have HexClad pans and you'd like some healthy inspiration for cooking in them, I've included a link in the video description below, which will take you to an easy and delicious collection on my website, gentletummy.com. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.